Here we are on the Get Foxy show with the lovely Sandi Leffel. Sandi, thank you so much for taking the time today. I sure appreciate it. I know you are a busy lady helping people look so much better. I've been looking at your Instagram feed, and you, as a professional, this would be a style consultant, correct?
Personal stylist,
Personal
actually.
stylist. Okay.
hmm
I want
hmm
to make sure I had that right because I know when we talked prior, I was thinking that you were doing more of an image consulting, and you enlightened me that these are different things. So can you enlighten our listeners on that?
You bet, Terry. Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. Image consulting is actually a 4-year degree, and it covers everything from communication, public speaking, appearance, grammar, your wardrobe, your gestures, if you will, and communicating with people. So that is not what I do. I'm a personal stylist, which means I help people style themselves through fashion.
Now, how did you end up getting into this line of work?
Well, it's pretty fascinating. When I was a nurse, when I graduated college, I took my state boards in Washington State and moved to Hawaii the very next day because I'm a sun girl and a water girl. So I moved to Hawaii and I realized I really needed some help kind of getting a foundation for my womanhood, basically. And so I enrolled in the Barbizon modeling program, and it was probably the best thing I ever did. They covered everything from fashion to nails to hair to diet, nutrition, and walking the runway. So that's where my love of fashion started. And I like to tell a story before that time. My fashionability revolved around macrame bathing suits and tube tops. So that's a little, yeah, I know it's funny. It's hilarious, actually. So thank God for Barbizon. And through that course, I learned that to respect myself, I had to start with my clothing.
Now that is a concept right
Mm-hmm.
there. That's actually pretty deep. I mean, we don't hear that kind of message very often
Mm-hmm.
nowadays. That self-respect uh, starts with how we dress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you apply that?
Well, I think the reason I got into this business was I see a lot of people not knowing their style, but also just throwing on any old outfit every day. It could be their go-to. Pair of jeans that could have come off the floor, who knows? T-shirt. And I began to ask myself, what message am I telling the world when I dress that way? So I've been exploring this over the years, probably 20 years. And I realized that what I put on each day invites the world to treat me one way or another. And I want to be taken seriously. So if I make an effort to dress myself intentionally, I say to the world, here I am. I respect me. I want you to respect me. I want you to take me seriously. And it impacts everything from my mood to my state of mind to my contributions to the world.
What do you say to the people who tell you, well, Sandi, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover?
True. Absolutely. And I do not want to be judgmental. Uh, However, every time we meet someone, we sociologists have studied we do judge them. Whether you say you maybe put them in a category or judge them, we all bring our personal biases into our connections every day. And so people are judged based on the clothing that they're wearing.
So what you're telling me here is that if I meet another fella who is wearing ripped up jean shorts that clear up to his waist, he's wearing sandals, and he's got a rainbow tank top on and a man bun, that he is giving me a specific message about who he is.
Yes, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how do we go about figuring out what message we want to put out to the world?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think it involves some soul searching. And so for me, when I was a teenager, I was a hippie, dressed myself as a hippie. Then I was a single woman, a nurse. Then I became engaged and married. Then I became pregnant. And then I became a mother. And then I became a menopausal woman. And then an empty nester. So over the years, I've had to reinvent myself, if you will, depending on what role I was in. And also, life threw at me all these body changes. So, of course, when I'm 50, I'm not the same body as that I was when I was 20. So I had to really do some soul searching. I felt when I was in my 30s and a mother that I didn't know what my style was. I didn't even know what I liked. And I think that is more common than we know. So I did a process where I just cut pictures out of magazines and I put them in a sketchbook. And I didn't judge why I picked them. I had no idea. All I knew was that this picture resonated with me for some reason. So I accumulated all these pages and it was really beautiful. I went back and I would see patterns. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I guess I love polka dots. Here's all these polka dots. And then the next page, I guess I love pink. So that what has been a great tool for me all these years. And also learning what looks good on my body now. So that's a little process that I use. And you know, anyway, that's really been beneficial for me.
That's one heck of an intuitive kind of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm finding fascinating talking to you about this is that our style changes throughout our life, or at least that's what I'm hearing from
Mm-hmm.
you, which is kind of interesting because I would have thought that, well, I'm the same person, so I should just be wearing the same thing. But what I'm hearing from you is, no, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, not necessarily. So some people know what they love. They know what their signature look is or their signature piece. For instance, I have a client who his signature piece is his English racing hat, and he wears it every day, all day. He just loves it. So when we went shopping for him, we matched everything according to his hat. And he loves the color, he loves the way it looks on his face, and he loves the style that it represents for him. So he can take that hat and change his outfits depending on body changes and perhaps what's trending, perhaps new look, say skinny jeans or tailored jeans instead of baggy, khakis that he used to wear. So he is indeed reinventing himself today based on his body and his likes and dislikes today. But his style revolves around that hat. So if someone has something that they love, and it could be a look, and it could be a piece, then it's great to have that because you know that they know what they love. And that speaks volumes because they've done some soul searching and they feel great in that one thing.
Now, fashion seems to be something that's pretty what's the word I want to look for here? Ephemeral. It's always changing.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something new, always something different. So how do you help someone find that kind of signature look?
Well, let me clarify something about fashion. So I love this saying, clothing is necessary. Fashion is an option. No, I'm sorry. Fashion is a choice, but style is an option. So let me say that again. Clothing is necessary. Fashion is an option. Style is a choice. So we all have to dress our bodies. And, you can choose certain pieces that are in style or that are fashionable. Now, fashion involves the standard things that the runways want us to see, but trends is the up and coming thing of the moment. So trends really come and go. Fashion is overall, it can be everything, but then style is something we choose, and it's not necessary, but certain people want to look stylish. So sometimes I can look at a person and know they understand their signature style, which is really beautiful. I have a friend, she's a civil engineer here in Fort Collins. Her name is Ruthie, and the first time we had a girls' night out, I said to myself, oh my God, this chick knows her signature look. So she is a minimalist. She does not care for shopping. She doesn't want to spend a lot of money. She doesn't really care that much about her clothing. But she has figured out how to dress her body in certain items, and these are her go-tos. So she knows that every day she can go into her closet, pick out a few pieces, and they always work for her. And her look is chic, sophisticated, and timeless. And it's so simple. So she wears bootleg jeans, low-waisted, which make her look taller and elongate her legs. She wears a wide belt. She wears a man's white shirt, which is kind of blousy, if you will, but then with her small jeans, it makes her figure look great. She has a little hourglass figure. Her waist is tiny. And then to top it all off, she wears a bright red vintage long coat and then red clogs. And it is a killer look every time. She can go office to out on the town and wear that. So for Ruthie, that was pretty easy to see. Other people, it's just by doing some excavation, if you will. What do you love to wear? Is there a color that you're drawn to? When you go into the store, do you navigate to one section every time? So for me, I always go to white tops. And you'll see, I have a white top on today. And I always go to the white tops. I have plenty of white tops. I can't explain it, but I love it. So I just ask these questions, and then people do a little heart to heart, and usually they recall, oh, I did love that. I love that on my body. This is the part of my body I want to accentuate. Well, it's a pretty fun process.
I think that's fascinating, honestly. I mean, as a guy, most of us guys, we don't know a darn thing necessarily. Uh, I went through a process a few years ago where, my business coach was saying, well, you're going to have to start selling these higher level packages to your patients. And I thought, well, I can't necessarily sell these packages if I'm looking kind of shabby. So I had to kind of go through and do my own research with men's style blogs, and I felt so silly doing it.
Really?
But at the same time, I noticed that as I began to dress better, I started getting compliments. And people say, I mean,
Okay.
people, random strangers in
Right.
the grocery store saying, oh my goodness, it's so refreshing to see a nicely dressed man.
Absolutely.
Well, holy cow.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right.
So, and
Right.
I'm sure that likely goes for women as well. I
Yes.
can't speak
Yes.
to that, but I get the feeling that you probably could.
Absolutely. And you're right. The way we dress almost teaches people how to treat us. So that's the greatest thing is, well, number one, getting the compliments. Well, number one, really doing the soul searching, and then putting some time and effort into it, like you did. And then getting the compliments is the reward. And yes, I find the same thing with women. That I just did a blog about women over 50, vital and stylish, question mark. Uh, because we've lived over a half a century, more for some of us. And I wonder if the world is getting the message or realizes what contributions we've made. Because when we were in corporate America, we made names for ourselves. We were taken seriously. Then raising kids, now empty nesters and retired perhaps. And many of us become complacent and just acquiesce and put on the same old comfortable clothes, casual clothes. And I just wonder if we can't amp that up. I really hope that women hear my message, and I think it affects everything from, like I said, your outlook to the contributions that you're making. And if you present yourself well, people, for instance, if you're going out as a woman and you're fundraising or starting a business, it depending on how you're dressed may change the reception you receive from your potential investors. So I think it's really critical. It's not for everybody, and many people just want to be comfortable. But I think the reason I'm doing it is that if people do invest in themselves, their confidence soars, kind of like you. Your confidence soars, you feel empowered, your words can even take on a new meaning, if you will. So I really love it. I think it's wonderful.
There's so much psychology and
Exactly.
sociology involved with this. You wouldn't think there would be that much depth to this work. And so
Mm-hmm.
I find it really fascinating because you're saying what you wear gives a message to people about how they should treat you.
Mm-hmm. Or how you want to be treated.
And this is mind blowing to me, because I haven't heard this anywhere. I mean, I've always heard, well, you can't judge a book by its cover. Well, look at that punk rocker over there with all the tattoos and the leather jacket and the spikes and what have you. Well, they're probably the nicest person in the world, and you're going to ignore them because you judge them by their cover.
Correct. But let me take that a step farther. So that person knows their style and they dig it and they're owning it. That's kind of my tagline, is discover your style and own it. So you can be a man and wear pink jogging pants in Fort Collins, which is very conservative. But if you feel good in it, then go for it. Bravo. Be brave.
I think
So,
big stuff here, Sandy.
yeah.
You're transforming someone's life just by going through their closet and helping them figure out what clothing helps them feel better in their own bodies.
Right. It's you, after we style you, if you will, it's you only better. And people want to feel beautiful in their clothing, men and women. They want to be noticed. They want to be admired. And I've been married to my husband for 38 years, and he back in the day, he could rock the overalls with no shirt going to a Tom Petty concert, right? He was very handsome. He is very handsome. And then he was in the military, so he was so handsome and gorgeous in his naval uniform. But other than that, he could buy a suit and look good in that, but he had no fashionability and he didn't care about fashion. So after I started this business, he said, maybe you should style me. And I was like, yeah. Yes, please. When? Can we start right now? And, but as we talked, I realized he's very hands-off. It kind of scared him, like, oh, don't give me too much stuff here. I can't process that. I don't want to find my style. Middle-aged man. And so I ordered him a whole bunch of things online, 14 things. And when they arrived, he loved 10 of them, which was incredible. And skinny jeans that made his body look so great. I'd say, hon, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your backside, and it's fabulous. Just silhouetting, his figure, his body. And tailored shirt, well, not even tailored, just shirts that fit. And having fun with color, pink polka dots and lots of options, great shoes. And he gets compliments every time he wears those outfits, whether it's at the grocery store or in a Zoom meeting, and definitely when he's in front of colleagues. So it's been a real investment for me and for him. So he invested in himself, which gets into vulnerability, because first of all, asking for help, I think he was very brave. And you could take that a step farther and wonder, does she think I'm horrible at dressing myself or whatever? You're just kind of raw. You're out there asking for help. And then being willing to sit in that kind of discomfort around having someone show you what to put on your body. So it was an investment for him that is paying huge dividends, and his confidence has soared. And I think he presents himself differently to the world. So it's really been beautiful.
And I'm assuming you've had similar experiences with the ladies that you've worked with as well.
Absolutely. So a gal came to me, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we're shooting this in October. So I want to just put a shout out for all those cancer survivors. So one of my clients is a cancer survivor. She's also a registered nurse and went through a really tough couple years, very traumatic, and wasn't sure what she was going to do with her life going forward. So she decided to become a life coach. And she came to me and said, I don't know how to dress as a life coach. I need to up my game with my professional wardrobe. Her dilemma was that she has younger children, so she would have to work all day and then go to the soccer field. So how to do that? She had no idea. And she really did not have a good idea of her body shape. When I first talked with her, I do a free discovery session. We talked about body shape, and she said, well, I'm a pear. I have a big bottom and huge thighs. I said, oh, okay. So we explored that a little bit, went to her house, and we talked about her goals. She does not have a pear shape. She has a beautiful hourglass figure. And so her misconceptions about her body were pretty telling. So, as a nurse, of course, we study psychology and all that. So that's maybe where some of this comes from. But she said, I just need to know how to put outfits together. So I said, what would you wear to work? Let's pull a few things out of your closet. So we did. And I said, what would you wear with this? What would you wear with this? And I said, well, how about trying this on for me? This dress was beautiful on her body. And I said, now let's look at your shoes. And I said, how about a white jean jacket with that dress? You could wear that to the office, and then on the soccer field, it would keep you warm. And then you could wear high heels for the day and then switch into some sneakers on the soccer field. She can just keep those in her trunk, and that worked perfectly for her because she's a go-to girl. She needs to get ready in 10 minutes and out the door. So usually she grabs the same old thing every day, but now she has some options, and she learned how to put things together.
That's excellent. When you can receive that kind of support, boy, it sure makes a big difference in how you feel. I want to ask you the question I ask all my guests, Sandi, and that is, what is your definition of Foxy? What does Foxy mean to Sandi Leffel?
Well, I had to wear my jean jacket because to me it's a throwback to the 70s. So Foxy back in the 70s was, of course, a huge term. And for me, I used it describing handsome men. He's a fox. He was a fox. He is a fox. So for me, it's physically attractive. It means that someone is physically attractive. And I've come to realize that now with my styling business and personally, I try to match my insides with my outsides. So if my inside's a 10, I want my outside to look a 10 as well. So I want my outside to be foxy, always.
Yes, you are speaking my language as a facial and aesthetic acupuncturist. This is all about the inner reflected by the outer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
The healthier we are, the better we feel, the more it shows on our face.
Exactly.
And
in our posture.
Yeah.
Because if your face is looking pretty good, then and your clothing, then you carry yourself differently.
Yeah. So how do people get a hold of you if they want more information or want to know how to work with you?
Well, I just launched my website, which is super exciting. I worked for months and months with Madwire. So it's Styling with Sandi. And, please follow me on social media. I have a pretty great Instagram feed and Facebook. And I just started a YouTube channel. So you'll see some of my videos up on YouTube. Same thing, Styling with Sandi. And on my website, I also have a blog, so with pictures and a few videos on my website as well. But the blogs can help people just if they're interested, just little simple tips. Like I did one that's men over 50, kind of how to get your sexy back. Maybe I should have said how to get your foxy back. Dang, I missed that window. Shoot.
Well, excellent. I will include all of those links in the show notes. So, ladies, check out stylingwithsandi.com to get simple tips on how to improve the outer so that it'll match your inner.
Correct. I like to say, beautify your life one outfit at a time.
Fantastic. Well, Sandi, thank you so much for taking the time today and teaching us a little bit about how we can all brighten up our worlds by looking just a little bit better.
Right on, Terry. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.